everyone. Welcome to the Sports Corner with Conn Man. I am your host, the Conn Man, on the Sports Wave Network. With me tonight, I have the bad man, my man, D man, I'm gonna call him. D, how you doing, my brother, tonight?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. A little stressful today. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm honored to have you on my
Yeah, I'm
show.
glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming on my show. Now, D, what I do is I like to set the table buffet style. And what I mean by that,
Uh-huh.
I set it up and tell you on my show, D, I like to have talk as opposed to me because you don't do the damn thing. So, D, you from New Bedford. You've been doing a lot of things in New Bedford. I know baseball.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Back to your youth. Let's kick it back to the. And then we can shut that music down so I can hear you.
Let me see. Let me try to. Give me 1 second. These guys are loud. I didn't realize they were gonna have this music on. I'm actually still at the gym. We just finished sparring a few minutes ago, so they got all the music going and a bunch of stuff going on in here.
That's good. I love it. I love it.
This should be better. All right, how's that?
I love it. Hey, D, let me tell you something real quick. You know, I'm from New Bedford. I'm from the hood, as you're probably aware. And you know how New Bedford is. And you from New
Hmm.
Bedford. And what I do on my show is I like to promote uh, the great athletes that come out of this area because we don't, well, get enough recognition. So I've been peeping you out on Facebook and seeing all the great things that you're doing. And I said, I got to get this man on my show. And I'm honored and privileged to have you on my show. So, D, what I'd like folks to know about you, can you give a little background history about your beginnings and, what got you started? First of all, let's go back to baseball first and
Okay.
then evolve from that and go back into what you're doing now. And you're doing so many great things now. So let's go back to that.
All right. Well, I mean, I started with the sports young, real young, like most people in New Bedford. I played football, I played basketball, and I played baseball. So I played all three ever since being a little kid. Played all three for New Bedford High. Um, Football and baseball were my two main sports. Basketball, more of just a role player. I was just a good athlete. Um, but football and baseball were the two that I really, really excelled in, did well in, and had some decent offers for football actually for college, and then just chose baseball. It was actually um, the decision was kind of made because what was the opportunity to play post college, and baseball was a better opportunity than football, given I'm not big enough, fast enough, NFL size guys and stuff. So figured baseball was a better option. So was focusing on that, and luckily that brought me to Miami, and been here ever since.
Now, D, so I like to talk about having people like yourself on my show that we talk about the kind of the heritage of New Bedford. What are your memories growing up as youth in New Bedford in this great, what I call great, uh, influx of talent that we have in New Bedford? What's your take on that, my man?
Man, I mean, I know when I was coming up, it was a lot of talk was it was always called the secret city. And I really, man, it's like, man, it really is. There's so much talent and there's so much going on there that it's such a secret to the rest of the world. They don't know about it. There really is so much. so much talent in so many different ways that creative people, sports people, everything. There's a lot of history and a lot of creativity and a lot of things that should get more exposure than what it does, and it's unfortunate it doesn't get the recognition that it should.
And that's where I come in. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm honored to have the people I have to do what I do. I made it my mission to recognize New Bedford, and that's kind of why. Hey, that's kind of why I wanted to have you on the show as well, and because you have been a role model to the people of New Bedford. I mean, you went and left New Bedford to get exposure. And
Yeah.
before we get back into your boxing career, which we will, I want to delve into your baseball career because you played for what I feel is one of the best human beings in the world, John C. I want you to talk
Yep.
about C.
So I mean, we did pretty well actually. I got moved up to varsity my sophomore year. Freshman year, played freshman, never even played JV, and then out of nowhere they told me you're playing varsity this year. So obviously I was excited to be able to do that. Um, we did well. I did well personally. We did well as a team. We went all the way to I think we lost in the state tournament to Zavarian, who ended up winning it all. We had a lot of talent. We had a lot of good players. And then same thing junior year, we made a pretty good run at it, and we went all the way to the South Sectional Finals. So we did pretty good in high school, and it was a lot of fun. Sports. Actually, we are just having a conversation about that with somebody yesterday, and telling them about how much those are the things I miss so much about home, is having such a good close group of friends since you were 3, 4, 5 years old, and staying together and staying friends. And every time I go home, I'm with that group of friends, and it's like I never left. So it's really cool to be able to be, going through your sports career and going through high school and all that, and playing with all your best friends alongside you. It builds that team chemistry and everything, and it just makes it so much more fun to be able to do and experience.
And now, do you know the reason why I have you on also is because I think it's time that you get your roses. And what I like to do, like I said, I set the table and then we do a buffet style. Are there any memories you have before we get into the boxing thing? Are there any memories you have with baseball? Any particular players you play with? Anybody you want to give a shout out to? I mean, this is your time to do and say whatever you want.
I mean, as far as baseball, we had a lot of good players that I played with in high school. One of my best friends, Blake Youngblood, we played together. Ryan Rodriguez, we played all three sports together.
Okay.
Played with AJ Tavares,
Okay.
Craig, yeah, Craig Latender. There was a lot of good players I played with. So um, then that was just baseball, football, basketball. There was a lot of guys that played with AJ in all three sports. Brian Rudolph, Wilson Pilarte, Anton Murphy. Played a lot of. We had a lot of good players that I played with. So I graduated in '06. So me, Ryan, Brian, Wilson, Anton, we were all the same grade. So we all had a good run, and especially in basketball, we had a good run throughout high school in all the sports, really.
Now, let me ask you a question. I'm old as dirt, so I'm trying to remember. I think you guys played. I went to one of your games in the was it the regionals or where there was a bad call made? Was you on that team with Brian Rudolph?
Yeah, well,
I think we're gonna get
we
some.
we had there was I think it was a charge call late in the game that was a little iffy. Yeah, the Newton
Yeah.
North game. Yeah, that was our junior year, but it's still tough to bring up those games because we were so close to winning the state championship, and then it slipped away, and then Newton North ended up going back to back, and that should have been us. So it's those games are still things that haunt you a little bit.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
Uh, B. Rudolph was the bad boy. So was Ryan. You guys had a great
Mhm.
team. Back then, I was broadcasting the UMass Starlet game, so I did get a chance to check you all out, and I know the Beverly High was packed. Them games were packed.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
yeah,
And
back like the old school games. Yeah.
yes, sir. And
Hmm.
your coach back then was one of my good friends, Coach Roderick, as we know. And
Hmm.
I just like you said, a lot of times New Bedford don't get the notoriety that they deserve to get, and that's why I do what I do. Also, the fact is, so you guys had a good run basketball wise. So now let's go back. What gave you desire or the I guess the commitment to go into boxing? How did that start?
Um, well, before we get into that, let me congratulate you on this show and highlighting the people from New Bedford and stuff because I
Thank you,
appreciate you doing that and giving the people, the recognition they deserve.
thank you.
So as far as boxing, I played baseball in college, and when that ended, I had a year or two where I was just working and going to the gym, and it was my first time in my whole life not having a sport to play, a sport to train for, do something competitive. So I had actually a college teammate that found a small boxing gym. He called me. I was home. I was in New Bedford actually. It was over Christmas break, so I was working jobs. I was bartending. I was substitute teaching. I was doing different things, and he called me and said, "Hey, when you get back, I found a gym, a little boxing gym. Let's go." He's like, you'll be good at it. You'll like it. I think you'll be good. I'll be comfortable going with you. Go. He goes, you know what? I'll even pay for your first month for you so that you'll come. So I'm like, shit, why not?
Right,
It's always good to learn as a man. You want to do more than just feel like you can fight. You want to know you can fight. You want to know
right.
you can protect yourself more than you want to go out and fight. So you
Hmm.
want to know, okay, if I get in a situation, I'm going to able to protect myself in the situation and get away and stay safe.
Right.
So I'm like, no problem. Let's go. Let's do. It's something different, a different workout. It's not just lifting for baseball or football. It's not heavy lifting. It's something totally different. Let's go give it a try. And it's been 8 years, and I pretty much haven't missed a day ever since.
So fast forward a little bit from doing that, working out with your boy and doing some things. What made you decide to keep on training and maybe go the amateur route?
Well, initially, I had no intention of doing that. I was like, I'm not going to fight. I don't want to fight. I just want to learn. Then I started learning pretty quick, just being athletic and having, sports background. I was like learning fast. It felt like I was learning fast. So then eventually I'm like, you know what? Let me put it to the test. Let me see if I'm actually learning or if I just think I'm learning. I don't want to
Hmm.
just be in here hitting the bag and doing stuff and I think I'm doing good and I'm not. And then I get in a situation and I can't defend myself. So let me put it to the test. Actually, didn't even have a sparring, just had my first fight, first amateur fight. There was a state tournament coming up. So it was actually 2 weekends in a row. There's a state tournament this weekend, and then the following weekend was the Golden Gloves. So I had my first fight. Was a Saturday night. Sunday was a championship. So I won my first fight. I lost in the championship the next day. The following weekend was the Golden Gloves. I was like, let's go. Went. I was in heavyweight at the time. I was in the 201 weight class, and I ended up winning the Golden Gloves. I won 3 fights in a row, 3 days in a row. Won all 3 fights, and then from there it was like there was no looking back. It was once you already experienced it and you felt it. Now every day I go in the gym, I'm like, nah, I can do it better. I come back the next day and I'm like, yeah, I got a little bit better than yesterday, but I can do it better. And it was just that inner competition of, nah, I can do it better. And that's really what drove me to keep doing it was I just that conflict in myself of like I can do better than this. And I just keep showing up to the gym and keep trying to do better.
Now, D, it takes a certain skill, it takes a certain determination, desire, commitment, dedication to go into the world of boxing. What gave you the impetus to go into that realm?
I think it was just the, like I said, the inner competitiveness of like, it's now, the first time in my life, not a team sport. So I got nobody else to count on and nobody else to blame. So nobody can make me lose or make me win. It's all on me. So now it's a real test of, you learn a lot about yourself when you start boxing or get into any kind of fighting, because it's just you and it's just the other person, and there's a lot of things that go through your mind aside from all the physical training. There's a lot of psychological side to it that's, you really got to know. Everybody's going to get to the point. I tell a lot of people that starting as, that you're going to get the point of, you're going to ask yourself, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't have an answer for it. If you have an answer, you'll show up the next day. And it was just in me that I just wanted to keep pushing myself. I just wanted to keep going and keep going. And even though you're in there fighting somebody else, you're just trying to be better than what you were and try to get better every day. You're not really basing it on that person. You're kind of basing it on, at least for me, I was basing it on my performance every day rather than the person across from me.
Now, D, when did you decide, or you felt that, yo, I'm pretty good at this damn thing. I can make this happen. When did you reach that point?
Well, I actually never even walked into the boxing gym until I was 27. So I had 18 amateur fights over a couple years. So like I said, I had won the Golden Gloves. I had won a national championship. I had won like a few different things. So it was like, you can only do this for so long. Your age is gonna come, and you're gonna be too old for it. So it's either now or never. And because I was learning quick, it was just, I think being a little bit older actually helped me, because I was able to learn differently than I would have if I was 18 or 15. So I was able to understand the sport and learn the sport better. And then luckily I still had all my athleticism. So with that combination, I was able to learn quick and excel faster. And I was able to get in the ring with guys much more experienced and much better and do well. And it really was like, it's either now or never. And I don't want to look back 10, 15, 20 years from now and think, damn, I should have. So it was like, to hell with it. Let's just do it and give it a shot and see where it goes. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, at least I know I'll be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, I tried it.
Now, D, let me ask you this one. You know, there's been a lot of fighters who have fought 100, 200, 300 amateur fights, then decided to go pro. What made you decide to go pro when you did? Did you know if after 10 or 20 amateur fights? Because I think that's important for the viewers to see. What made you decide, okay, I think I can do pro now?
I think it was more of the training I was having and the people I was sparring with. I was fighting, so I started at 201. I went down to 178. I went down to 165. I turned pro and stayed at 160. But because I was at different weight classes, I was like, I've gotten a wide range of different people that I've had experience against. So I've seen all kinds of different styles of fighting. I was training with guys that, the gyms I'm in, there's a lot of guys that are former world champs, that are guys that are on the verge of being world champs. There's guys that are current world champs. So I'm in the ring with them all the time. And I'm like, man, if all those guys are after the sparring looking at me, giving me their honest opinion of where they see me, then there's the indication that I can do it. And then, like I said, it's at the point where I was like, okay, I'm 30, 32, whatever. It's been a few years now since I've been pro, so I was early 30s, and I'm like, it's either now or the window's gonna go by. So it's either you got to do it now. I didn't have the amount of time to have all those fights, but I was in the ring with guys with all those fights and competing with them and doing good and beating some. And so it gave me I was able to see it firsthand more than just somebody telling me, yeah, you're doing good. I was able to give these guys hard times, give these guys more trouble than they expected. I was learning differently than, like I said, if I would have if I was a lot younger. So it was able to help me progress a lot faster. And then I think I gained a lot of experience really fast by being older and more mature and smarter how I learned. And then I think, I look at some of these guys, 150, 200 fights, and I'm like, a lot of people would say that their experience is going to give them the edge over me. And I always looked at it the other way, rather than look at it from a negative standpoint and try to turn it to a positive and say, well, maybe they have that, but I don't have the miles on my body that they have. I haven't taken the amount of punches and I haven't taken the damage they've taken. So they have experience, but I'm more fresh. So we're even.
I like that. That's a good answer. Now let's take us to right before your very first professional fight. What was going through your mind? And let me backtrack a little bit because on my show, D, I like to again make it have my guests make an impact on the people who view the show. Let the viewers know because when you're a boxer, you have to maintain a certain weight, and the difficulty is to maintain that weight and to keep that weight.
Yeah.
Let the viewers know what goes into doing that.
That's honestly, that's probably the most difficult part of boxing. In my opinion, that's one of the most difficult parts. Getting punched sucks, but maintaining the weight is much more difficult because it's a daily, nonstop. It's just a grind all the time. So like I said, I started in heavyweight. When I finished playing college baseball, I was about 205, 200, 205, a lot more muscular. And once I started having fights, initially I was like, you know what? I got to learn no matter who it's against. I don't care how big they are. Then as you start getting more experience, you start getting bigger guys, you start realizing where you need to be based on your size and that kind of stuff. So started losing the weight and going down. And I did it slowly, so it wasn't a big effect on my body. And then once I got down to 160, it was tough. I stay around 170, but to be at that weight after not being in the even 170 since high school, it was a big change on my body. So it took time for your body to adapt to it, and then maintaining that. I got a nutritionist, so my nutritionist tells me what to eat, how much of everything to eat, so it maintains my weight. So it takes away the stress of that from me. So now I'm not stressing about that when it comes time for a weigh-in for a fight. Am I going to make weight? I know they're going to take care of it, and I don't have to worry about it. So it's a big difference of the amount of food you got to eat from when you were 200 pounds to now 160, 170. The way you train is way different. The way you work out, the way you lift, the way you do everything, your whole lifestyle changes because this sport really takes over your life. There's a lot of things you can't do if you're trying to really be serious about it. So you have to take away a lot of things that seem fun, seem cool then, and then you realize doing those things could get you seriously injured. It's not worth it. So you got to just prioritize what's important. And some people are just naturally have a smaller frame and have um, different body structure. They may be just naturally really lean. They might be able to make weight a little bit easier. But for me to be able to stay so much lighter than what my natural weight would be, it takes a lot of mental strength to fight the urges and want to eat more. And it's very difficult. It's
And you
worth
be
it, but it's very difficult.
and you be on Florida and your son and the extracurricular activities that must have been real hard on you to stay true to yourself and true to your home because you were focused obviously and you had a goal to achieve, but it must have been difficult. It had to be difficult.
Yeah, very difficult. And you get in some of these gyms and then it's like a big warehouse and it's there's no air conditioning. So it's hot, it's humid, and it's humid in Miami. It is very humid. So you get inside one of these buildings with no airflow and you get 8, 7, 8, 10 rounds into sparring, it takes a toll on you. So and then not going and leaving that training and then going and overeating because I always looked at it like the weight cut is tough. So the harder you make the weight cut on yourself, the more difficult it's going to be in the fight. So if you make the weight cut easier, you're minimizing a lot of the difficult things that go into this sport. Of course, the fighting is tough, but the weight is tough and it's very unhealthy for you to make internally. Your organs, your brain, everything is very difficult for your body to maintain that. So to fluctuate too much is just not safe and not healthy, and it's already an unhealthy or an unsafe sport. So why add to being, the danger of it? And I remember watching a video actually of Andre Ward, and I remember him saying, I stay about 8 pounds for my weight. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, I'm never going above 168. I stay at 168. If I hit 170, that's my limit. If I get to 171 or two, I start getting nervous, and I'm like, okay, I gotta make a change, get back down, because I don't want that weight cut to not only be difficult, I don't want it to have an effect on me, on my health, which is way more important than winning a fight.
Absolutely. Now, next question. I know you left New Bedford way back in the day, but I know you know about the history of New Bedford. What memories do you have of the great boxers that we've had here in New Bedford?
Um, I mean, I know Ray. I'm good friends with Ray, so I remember him growing up. Me and his son, few of his sons actually were right around the same age, so we went to elementary school and stuff. So I remember him, but I was never like I was into boxing, but I was never that deep into boxing growing up. I was always so into football, basketball, baseball that it was never. I didn't know as much about it as I do now, of course, but it was never something that I really got into until I got into it. So I always knew about them. I knew how good he was. I knew how much he did and how much he accomplished, but I really didn't know the details of it and what actually goes into the life of a fighter and how
Right,
difficult that is too. And it when you get to that point, it really makes you appreciate everything that goes into it and the things that he's done and things he's accomplished, because the amount of times he fought on ESPN and the things that he did, it was like, man, that doesn't just happen. That people can't just do that. It's not just the average person doing that. So there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of damage you go through, and there's a lot of ups and downs, and there's this is one sport more than any sport that will really mess with your mind and really test your mental toughness. Of course, it tests your physical toughness and strength and all that, but it tests your mental toughness 100 times more than the toughness people see watching the fight. There's
that's
way more
what
that goes into it.
it be. Is because y'all giving so much info that most don't know, and that's
Mm.
kind of why I wanted you on. I've had Ray on three of my shows, and he still has the world record. I'm sure you know, but I mean, for most punches thrown in a fight. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know my stuff. But
Mm.
he's one of a kind. And I just want you to give the viewers a taste of what it's like to be a professional boxer, because they don't know about the training and all the discipline and the commitment it takes to do what you do. So
Mm.
after your first pro fight, you went quite a ways undefeated, if I'm correct.
Mm.
I did a little
Yep.
homework. You know me, I had to do a little homework.
Yeah.
Talk about your recent fights. And again, I set the table. This is your show. I'm giving you your roses, so let the people know.
Yeah. So it was for me. It was different. It was different than what a lot of people go through because I got into it so late. It was There's not a major amateur background. I'm already older. Those
Hmm.
types of things are going to work against you. So I knew I had to fast track a lot of things, and I had to fight way more often. I had to build my record up. There was things I had to do differently than somebody that maybe turned pro, maybe like Ray that at 20 or 18 or whatever. So they had a lot more time where they were able to build themselves up and fight a couple times a year and do. I was like, I got to do it quick. And as soon as I did it, my third fight I actually tore my biceps. So I had shoulder surgery, and during the rehab, I did all the rehab on my own and was like, okay, here's my goal. This is what I need to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. and just set a plan and just never let anything take me off that course. And I put in my mind, I need to get to 10 or 12 and 0, and I need to fight for a title. That's what I'm going to do. And I did it. And at 11 and 0, I fought for a WBC title against Antonio Tarver Jr.
Say that name
So
again.
Antonio Tarver Jr.
Aha.
Yeah, yeah, son of the former world champ that knocked
Yes,
out Roy
sir.
Jones.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So, and that was a cool experience too, being so my coach knows Tarver from when they were younger and they fought. Um, so we had an opportunity at the belt. It was actually a weight class lower than what I normally fight, so I had to go down to 154, which was difficult, but it was worth it. Um, Went down to that weight, and we wanted the belt. One of my other training partner, it was his belt. He was vacating the belt,
Okay.
so I was gonna fight for it. They called and they wanted to fight for it, and then we just decided, you know what, let's just fight each other for it, and let's go for it. So we ended up going over to Tampa. We went to actually in their gym, their home gym. We fought in Tarver Promotions. I knew I had a lot of things stacked against me, being his name in boxing, being in
Mm-hmm.
their gym, in their promotion company. I knew, and it was like I knew it was more or less, how boxing is. It was either I got to knock him out or I'm going to lose.
Right.
There's not going to be a decision going in my direction
Right.
because of all those things. So, which was fine. It was, I felt like I could do it. So, we took the opportunity and we did it. The wake up was the wake up was difficult, and
Right.
because it was for a belt, the WBC was there to present the belt. So when you fight regular fights, you can miss weight by a pound or two. They might give you a little bit of a weight allowance, a pound or two up or down. Because it's for a belt, it's got to be exact or under. It can't be over. So we go to 154. It's my first time being under 160 pounds since I was like 14 or 15. I'm 35 at the time. So it
Yeah.
had been quite some time since I had been that weight. I didn't make weight originally. Stepped on the scale and a 154.8. And of course, I'm like, fuck, I killed myself to
Oh,
get to this weight. So that the commissioner from the WBC says, okay, you got 1 hour. You got to you got 1 hour, and if you don't make the weight, you guys can still fight, but you can't fight for the belt. So you either make the weight or you don't. You got an hour. So put my clothes back on, get on the treadmill, 30-minute run on the treadmill, go back, step on the scale, make the weight. I have a mini Gatorade, little granola bar. I was full for like 2 hours, couldn't eat dinner because it filled me up so fat. I was like, I was dying to go eat and couldn't eat. Had to wait, could only eat like half of my dinner. Couldn't, it was tough. It took me like 3 weeks to gain my weight back to 170 after the fight. It was tough. So, um, and it was an interesting fight. It was a very, very exciting fight, actually. The crowd they had a good setup. They had a big crowd. We had a lot of guys from Miami come down. Actually, a few people from New Bedford came down. Wilson flew down, came to the fight. So it was cool. It was a real good experience. Um, it was worth taking the chance to try to go down the weight class. Um, First 6 rounds of that fight, man, it was easy. Easy fight, not even getting touched, countering them, hurting them. It was like I just couldn't. I was like breathing through the fight. Round 7 came, I started feeling my body slow down. Started feeling it kind of mentally. I felt fine. I didn't feel in my mind. I didn't feel like, oh shit, I'm tired. But my body just started slowing down. Round 8 came, slowing down again. And I remember it's funny. I tell people this and they're surprised. I remember going through the fight. He was a southpaw, so if I miss my right hand, I'm right in line for his power punch to come back. So we
right.
had worked on a lot. If I miss that punch, make sure to get back into your stance right away and don't be in line for him to land that punch. So we had worked on that a lot. And I remember my coach drilling that into me while during the training. And I remember I think it was round 7, I missed the right hand, and I could feel myself. It felt like slow motion get back to my stance. Luckily, he didn't throw a punch at the time, And I was like, oh shit, this is what my coach was talking about, that right there. And I flashed back to being in the gym training and him telling me that. And I had like the visual of that moment. And it was like, oh, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm slowing down. Now you got to try to be smarter. You got to try to change your little style a little bit. You got to do things a little differently to adapt to the changes your body's making. And as soon as I just couldn't do it, we get to the end of round 7. My coach is like, man, you got to get out there. This is your belt. Go get it. I'm fired up. I get out. I come out of the corner like I'm ready to go. My body just didn't. I just everything was just a little bit slower. Timing was a little bit slow. Everything was just shut down a little bit. And we were sparring for about 5 weeks, sparring twice, 10 rounds, 2 times a week for about 5 weeks leading up to that fight. So I had the rounds in me, no problem, but not at that weight. And it was just hard. I couldn't catch that second win because my body was so depleted. And then ended up going down around 8, not even from a big punch. It was kind of just a punch, kind of just grazed me, and it was more like the exhaustion. And then I remember listening to the count, waiting for him to get to like 7. Okay, now I get up, and I just was moving so slow that by the time I got up, 10 was already gone. And then it was like I just didn't have the energy in my body. I walked back to the corner, was like I just didn't have it. I couldn't. My body couldn't recover and get that second win that I needed to get to finish out the last 2 rounds. And if I did, honestly, even if it went to a decision, I think I would have won because I had won 6 straight rounds.
Wow.
7 was pretty even, but he probably took that. 8 was when I went down, so obviously took that. But if I had caught that second win and came back strong around 9 and 10, I have a hard time thinking I would have lost that fight. But then again, if it did happen that way, and it did go to a decision, and it did get robbed, I'd still be losing sleep over it. It would still bother me for the rest of my life. It would eat me alive. So I'm actually glad it happened the way it happened. Or if I'm going to lose, there's no way to dispute it that way because I didn't beat the count. So, oh well, I lost and I can move on. And that was it.
That's deep. Now, D, you lost that. You only lost.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anyone else you fought that you felt was better that you won?
I don't think so. I mean, the guy I fought after, I had fought a few guys with a lot of fights, 30, 40 fights and stuff. So guys with a lot of experience. Um, I was just much stronger than them. So they were decent, but he was, I think the thing he did the best in that fight was probably he was able to not let me land the follow-up punch. I land a big punch, kind of stun him, hurt him, and then I couldn't land the follow-up punch to take him out. And I think that's what he did well, and he was conditioned well. And of course, he had, former world champion in his corner, so he had good coaching and stuff. Um, the guy I fought after that actually fought again in Boston in June, and that was my last fight. So it's a guy with same thing, like 40 fights. Um, he's very smart fighter, very crafty. He was a lot more a defensive fighter, but he was trying to lure you into set traps. He was definitely the smartest fighter that I fought with the amount of experience he had, and he was a strong fighter. So he was landed a few punches that kind of grazed me that I knew, okay, don't let those land because he's got power. So I would say as far as he was the most crafty and the most intelligent fight, trying to lure you into his game, but I could tell that he was doing it. So I wasn't going to lure him into my game, but I couldn't lure him into what I wanted to do. It was like a cat and mouse kind of like chess match of both trying to trick each other into doing what we wanted the other one to do, but nobody would fall for it. So I would say those are probably my 2 most difficult fights were those 2 for different reasons, but those were the 2. One because he had a good game plan and he was able to handle the pressure moments. The other one was just an overall smart, crafty fighter. So those are probably the 2 most intelligent fighters that I fought.
Now we don't want to, go back in time, but if you started off at a younger age, where do you think you would be now?
Hmm. I'd be retired with a ton of money in the bank and a big car and a big house. I'd be a lot. The athleticism I have and the way I'm able to understand the game and analyze the game is different than a lot of people. So I'm able to, which is I think why I learned it a lot faster than a lot of people. And then just the natural athleticism and ability that I have is always a plus. And then the natural power that I have is my biggest asset is my power. Um, so I think if I had started a lot younger and been where I'm at right now, 10, 15, 20 years ago, or 15 years ago, I think by early, if I had turned pro at let's say 20,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't have taken more than a couple of years to build up the ranks and win a world title and win, earn a ton of money and stuff. But
Love it, love it, love it, love it.
I mean, I'm in the ring with guys like that and competing with them. And today the sparring with my training partner, 17-0 WBC intercontinental title. So then the other guy, bare knuckle world title. He holds two divisions world title bare knuckle fighter.
Ooh,
Then not long ago, I had a sparring with Jorge Linares, four-time world champ. So throughout the years, I've had experience with a lot of good fighters, a lot of good fighters where I've been able to see that and see how I do with them, and able to you can make the connection of if they're at that level and I'm there and I'm matching them, then okay, I'm at that level, and then to have them turn and tell me that I surprised them, that I'm this, that I did a lot of things that they didn't expect. I'm faster than they thought, or better timing, better this, better that, stronger than they thought. Getting that stuff from them, you always give constructive criticism back and forth afterwards. So them telling me these things like, man, I didn't realize you were that maybe that fast, or had the timing that you have, or the power that you have until I got in the ring.
right.
Then they had a whole different perception, and which I think is a good thing for me is going to be why I get calls for opportunities for fights, because they look at me. He's 36. He's white. He's not as tough. It's just automatic. It's just the mindset that people have, and it
Mm-hmm.
works in my benefit because I think the more you have that mindset, the better for me, because I'm going to go in there and surprise you. I hope you do think that.
Love it, love it, love it. Me Pepper, I love it. Now,
Yeah.
let the folks know, the viewers know, because I guarantee you're going to get a bigger fan base from this show. What are you up to now? What's going on? What's going on in the future? And how can people contact you if they want to contact you? Because you're going to be known tonight, my brother.
Well, I have, my Facebook, my Instagram. I have a YouTube page with, you've been putting the videos with the training and stuff, and so I have the YouTube and really trying to push it on there to grow it. Um, but as far as fights and stuff, um, I've been getting some calls. I get calls, but I got a call for something in Russia recently. But a lot of times they always want to call you last minute because they want you to be at the disadvantage, of course.
Of course, of
So, which is fine because I'm always ready. So I let them
course.
think I'm not, but I always am. So I've gotten a few calls where, as the year winds down and the holidays start coming, there's a little bit less going on, less events going on and stuff. So um, once the new year picks up, I'm sure the phone's going to start ringing and people are going to want to start calling because there's more events. Holidays are over. People are starting to fight. Everything's rolling a little bit more. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what kind of calls come. We have something that we're working on to fight in Germany in April. So we'll see what comes from before that. I actually just got an interesting offer for something. Um, Still something I have to think about and consider, or whatever. But something with I don't want to get too much into it, but with the bare knuckle stuff. So it's an option potentially. We'll see. I don't know, but um, we'll see. Right now I built my record to what it's at, and I've already had a title fight, so now if I'm gonna start getting calls for fights, then people gotta, I get some calls where they're offering to pretty much have you come fight mostly for free. So if they want to call and make it worth going to fight for, then cool. If not, I'm not gonna go as like a bargain fighter like some of these people will. So I didn't build my record to this point
Right.
to go at a discount. So, um, but we'll see. Like I said, they always want to either undercut you with the money, they want to cut you last minute and hope you're not ready. There's always different things that go on. So we'll see as they come, and um, we'll go from there. But once the new year picks up, it'll the phone will start ringing a lot more often.
Now, what I want you to discuss is the pictures that you be putting out. Uh, they caught my eye. What made you decide, hey, I want to see some videos? Obviously, they're very instructional, informative, and worth watching. What made you decide, hey, I'm going to do this?
Um, I mean, it was a combination of a few things. That a couple guys in the gym with me that kind of were pushing me. Hey, you should do this. You're training people and you're doing really good. Do this to promote training people. You could earn a lot more money training people. You'll get a lot more clients because I don't really promote it as much as I should. Um, and then being on social media and seeing all these people posting these videos, and they're so bad, and I watch it like, oh my god, I lose sleep over some of their videos because it's like they're just mimicking what they see, and they don't actually understand what they're trying to tell you, and they don't even know how to tell you how to do it right. And this is too dangerous of a sport to be giving people the wrong information. So it was kind of just a combination of that, of like, and again, I'm 36. Who knows how many more years fighting is going to last? So it's a transition to potentially start training and doing stuff more with that. Um, but I enjoy it. I enjoy teaching it, and I enjoy doing that. So I kind of just started thinking, you know what? There's all these guys doing it, and they're not even fighters. And through social media, they're making a lot of money off it, and they don't deserve it, and it drives me nuts. So let me start trying to give good information to people and really correct people's fundamentals in comparison to some of those people, but give them tips that they wouldn't be able to get from regular people because they don't understand fighting scenarios and fighting situations and that kind of stuff. They understand why and how to do things compared to how it looks cool as opposed to how it actually works and why it works and how to use your body and how to there's just a lot of things in it. So there's a combination of a lot of that stuff where I figured it, a lot of people would like to probably learn. Doesn't mean they all want to go fight, but they'd like to at least learn, at least maybe go to the gym and hit the bag for as a workout. But at least they want to know how to do it the right way rather than look a little bit out of control. So it's a good way for people to see that and think maybe it'll help them. If it helps them, cool. If it doesn't, no loss because I enjoy doing it. So no problem.
Well, my friend, um, the network has given me the platform to do what I do. I'm giving you the platform to do what you do. So go and promote what you do, and let's see if we can uh, give you the means, and maybe you can get paid training some individuals, and uh, give a little bit of a shout out to you and what and how they can get in touch with you. For those who might want to learn, whether it be to really go and box or, like you said, to just learn how to do it the right way. Maybe people don't
Yeah.
know, on Facebook, or maybe they don't know how to get in touch with you. Or after this, I know they will now. But let's know what's going on.
Yeah. So I have, Facebook with my name, Drew Dwelly. My Instagram, Tomahawk underscore Dwelly. Um, my YouTube is Tomahawk Boxing. So I would say Facebook and Instagram, the easiest way to get in touch with me. Um, like everybody's always got their phone, so I'm always accessible. I always got My phone's around. If I get messages, I answer them. I never leave. I never don't answer stuff. So um, anytime anybody sends a message through, Facebook or Instagram, whenever I see it, I respond. So it'd be the easiest way to get in touch with me would be that.
Now, D, damn, we only got like a few minutes. I could talk to you for like 4 more hours. If you would have any points or any knowledge you want to persuade or let the viewers know what they could possibly do to better themselves if they want to go into the world of boxing or any instructional information you can give these individuals who will be watching, any good advice you can give them, because again, I like to on my shows give people information so it can make an impact. So before we go, unfortunately, because I could talk to you for hours, is there something you can leave the viewers and let them know what maybe they can do to become more interested, or any advice you can give them if they really want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for anybody, it would be consistency. The consistency is you do anything consistently, you're going to see up or down from it. You're going to get, you do something negative, you're going to see negative from it. Do something positive, you're going to see positive from it. Stay consistent with the training, stay consistent with the learning part of it. Um, don't try to bite off too much too soon. Don't try to jump into with the wolves too soon. Don't try to run before you walk. Take it slow, learn at your pace, um, and focus on the fundamentals. The fundamentals is the foundation and the groundwork for everything. Any fighters you watch, you watch someone like Mayweather, he does the same few things over and over. He just does it in a million different ways, but it's ultimately the same things over and over, the same few things. So people like all the flash and all the glamour of all these things that they see on social media, but it's not realistic. Stick to the realistic things that are more fundamentally based. And you look at someone like some of these big heavyweights. You look at some of these guys, they throw a jab and a right hand. They have long arms and they stick to the basics and they make a career off it. They make a living off that and they become world champs off that. So the the basics and the fundamentals will take you a long way. So that would be my thing. I would say anybody that wants to get into it competitively is you got to understand who's teaching you, if they're teaching you the right thing, what experience they have. But the biggest thing is you got to believe in yourself. You can't let everybody else's opinions or thoughts change anything that you feel about yourself, and you got to stay consistent. The consistency you'll get results with consistency no matter what.
Now, D, again, I want to thank you for coming on my show. It's been an honor and a privilege. Is there something I didn't ask, or something that you want to uh, give out as far as information that maybe I didn't ask? Something that you wanted the viewers to know about you, or about the sport, or about maybe something I didn't go over with you? Is there something that I missed that you might want? Hey, I should have said that. I should have did that. And now's your opportunity, my man.
Um, Nothing that comes to mind. I mean, I think we touched on a lot of good stuff. I would say um, the one thing I do want to say is keep doing what you're doing because I love what you're doing and I love this channel and I
Uh,
love that you're giving the local people a voice to be heard and a way for people to see that. So that's a really good thing and it's not something that happens too often, especially in the New Bedford area. So I'm glad that you made the decision to start doing that and you're doing a good job with it. So I would say keep on.
Gee, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I have had the honor and privilege having my man Drew Dwelly on my show. He is that man. Stay tuned because he's going to be doing some big things. And again, D, thank you so much for coming on my show. It's been a privilege, and I'm going to have you back. Absolute. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning to my show, Sports Corner with the Conn Man on the Sports Wave Network. Take care. God bless. D, thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you for having me.